But I think one of the issues that we see from time to time is that, having a hard time, using too much jargon or coming in and just saying, okay, this is how we're going to do it. Here's the problem, listing out all the skill sets that your child needs to work on, all the weaknesses, all the deficits, all the ways that your child needs fixing, right? Even if we're not trying to come across that way as a parent, it could very much feel that way. Even if as a parent, we're like, yes, please come help. Please help. It still is that balance, right? And so, I'd like to talk about, meeting parents where they are and, what that actually looks like in real life. And, how do you adjust when a parent might, how do you know, like, if a parent feels overwhelmed or if they're not engaging, and how do you adjust for that?
I think you spoke to a lot of the challenges that we see as providers. I mean, me, myself, you mentioned always appreciating this part of the job of being a BCBA, supporting the parents. I can't say that I shared that experience myself. And I know that other clinicians might feel the same, where the parent training or parent education or caregiver support, however you want to put it, is maybe one of their least favorite things about the job. And that was me for quite some time. I dreaded parent training. It was something that I didn't want to do when I was learning how to be a supervisor in my early career. I remember within my first year on the job as a supervisor, then having the responsibility of leading parent trainings myself, I would sweat buckets for hours beforehand because I was in my head all the time about, okay, how am I even going to be helpful whenever I see this parent? I would ask questions and they always say they're good. And then my company at the time had this expectation to have, to make sure that our meetings with parents ran for at least 2 hours at a time. So then I am left there, twiddling my thumbs, thinking of things to talk about. And so it wasn't a very reinforcing time for me. It was, and I think that for a lot of providers, it is that skill gap, right? It's like, okay, like how do I sit here and make sure that I am providing value to this parent? Because I want to make use of this time as much as they do. For a lot of them, they are taking time out of their workday or their way out of their day apart from their other responsibilities. So we need to make sure that we make it worthwhile. Like, I don't want it to be a thing where, and I know a lot of families have expressed this in the past too, and providers expressed this in the past too, that they don't want it to be an experience where we just sit there and we check it off the list because it's something that we need to document as something that we did, right? So to provide that value, we need to really assess, right? And make sure that, okay, first off, why are we here, right? I want to make sure that I understand your motivations for being involved in treatment. Like, we want to make sure if you are going to be involved in your child's care, that first off, you know what the barriers are to your child's learning. We want to make sure that we want to know what your concerns are. I think conversations like that are often missed between provider and the families. Just coming from my experience with my fieldwork trainees and having cases passed down onto me from other clinicians, I would review treatment plan after treatment plan and talking with clinician after clinician, sharing with me, parent never signed off on this. They didn't know that this was a goal. And I think that's where we need to really sit back and think about, okay, if they don't have any awareness of what we're working on, that's really where we need to start, right? They need to be part of that process where we sit down together and we say, hey, we did this assessment. These are the goals that I'm thinking about. I want to make sure they're in alignment with what you're thinking, what your concerns are for your child. I want to make sure that they're feasible for us to work on together as a team. Because it's not just going to be me and my BT or my RBT or my mid-level supervisor, right? Who are going to be supporting your child with building these skills. It's also going to be you. Yeah.
Has to be, right?
And I think that's something else that's often left out of the conversation, right? Because parents don't often have that expectation of, I'm a part of this.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, I thought that I was going to hand off my child. You provide the services and that's good and everything will be okay. And I think at least when I was growing up in the field, that's a lot of what I saw as a DT, that lack of parent involvement and understanding of what we were really working on. Every now and then I'll have a parent jump into session and say, hey, what are you doing? BCBA hasn't explained this to me. So I want to know what you're doing. How is this going to be supporting my child? And I think we get a lot more of those conversations when the focus is the parents within the current blood model.